Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Um, Before we can get started, so my name is Palak Soni, and I'll be your host for today. Before we can get started, I have a couple of house rules that I just wanted to go over very quickly. This session is being recorded, so it can be available on demand after our session today. We ask your active participation in key to making this webinar interactive and insightful. So feel free to ask questions, share your perspective, and engage with your fellow participants using the chat feature. Should you have any questions, definitely do post it on the Q&A or either the chat function, and then I'll be able to facilitate that for you. Muting and unmuting to minimize background noise and ensure clarity during presentations. We kindly request that all participants keep their microphones muted when not speaking. You can unmute yourself when you are ready to contribute or to ask a question. With that, I would want to introduce our panelist and the moderator for today. So we have with us today Loren Absher. He's America's lead from ISG for Applied AI Advisory. We have Ritwik Batabyal, CTO and Innovation Officer at Mastek. And we also have Tusarakanta Sahoo, who's a program head Gen AI Launchpad platforms at Mastek. With this, I will hand over, baton to Loren. Loren, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this webinar. We get to the opportunity today to talk with Mastek about their intelligent parts assistance solution. So as Pollock said, I run the Americas for ISG's Applied AI Advisory Services. What I get to focus on every day is not the deep tech in AI, but how it brings value to business. So if you know ISG, you'll know that we spend all day, every day, looking for how to solve problems for our clients. And that's one of the main reasons why they trust us with sourcing over $20 billion a year in IT spend. So when I tell you that we got really excited about this intelligence parts assistance solution, I'm serious. It's a game-changing solution that's out on the market. So before I really delve too much into it, let me turn it over quickly to Ritwik and Tushar to do additional context on themselves, and then we can get into the meat of the discussion today. Ritwik?
Thank you, Loren. Let me first introduce my company. Mastek Limited is a global technology solutions provider that specializes in digital transformation services and solutions to business across various industries, across the geographies also. Founded in 1982, Mastek grown to become a leading player in the IT services sector, particularly known for its expertise in the areas such as application development, data analytics, integration, managed services, and cloud solutions, with specific focus in Oracle and Salesforce. It is headquartered in Mumbai, India. Mastek has a global presence, as I said, with offices and delivery centers in United States, United Kingdom, Europe, Asia Pacific, and Middle East. The company serves a lot of Fortune 500 customers and comes with a deep product DNA. About myself, currently I operate as a CTO. I am responsible for overseeing Mastek's ventures, an arm that invests into deep tech startups, driving nonlinear revenue through product-led delivery and alignment of technology initiatives with the company's business objectives. With that, I hand off to Tushara.
Hi, thanks, Ritwik. I'm Tushar, and I lead the generative AI-led Launchpad platform solutions for manufacturing, retail, healthcare, and BFSI. So I have close to 17 years of experience in leading innovation, partnerships, and emerging technology platforms. And this intelligent parts assistant platform is one of those platform solutions that we have in Launchpad for manufacturing industry. Over to Loren.
Thank you, guys. So before we get into the tool itself, let's talk a little bit about the state of the market. From my vantage point in over in ISG. In the manufacturing sector specifically, a lot of the value is still being drawn out of sort of your traditional AI, the stuff that led to predictive maintenance. And they are very much along the lines of efficiency plays. We are getting a lot of pressure based on the interest in generative AI about what that could do to enable new possibilities. And we're seeing some stuff emerging where you can sort of wrap it around your traditional and sort of democratize the access to some of those models. But what we're really seeing the pressure on is generating revenue. That's not something we've seen people be able to sort of crack the nut on so far as using Gen AI and AI in general to really push revenue generation. So it's that context that Mastek has matured out this solution. So what I'd like to kick it off with is, in the simplest terms, can you tell the audience sort of the problem that you solve with this? What does this enable? Let's start us there.
Yes, Loren, in fact, it was quite lucky that we hit upon this kind of a problem statement in a customized way. It came while doing process consulting for one of our manufacturing of machine parts customer. What they wanted to do was to improve their customers' buying process by delivering timely and accurate information. And they wanted to have 3 key, you can call KPIs or milestones. One, reducing the quote time from 18 hours, sometimes more, to less than a second. Handling non-value add cases like, which are completely ineffective, into intelligent conversations so that, they can save on the agent's time and effort. And then what their customers finally came out as a request was to have very less human intervention from, again, an agent standpoint, and have more of self-service. These are the 3 points and the business case on which we started to work upon.
And probably I'd like to add a couple of more points where, our customer has seen an increase in the crossover revenue by 10 million USD in 6 months after implementing this. And another customer could save somewhere around 20,000 man days after implementing this within 6 to 8 months. And more importantly, there is a real-time intelligent recommendations for your own parts or the parts of the competitors which is available in real time. So this can be the end customers, or this can be your internal service engineers, the customer service executives, sales, ops, etc. Yeah,
that's great. When I find that when people first get exposed to parts in modern manufacturing, right, after sales or distribution of parts, they frequently come to it with what I've taken to calling sort of the hardware store lens, right? They think you can just walk in and pick up the right part off the shelf and away you go. Honestly, it doesn't sound all that hard. Can you take us through what the actual challenges are in overcoming this?
Oh, sure. In the current scenario wherein the end customers come and interact with this company, they come and query for a part which has gone obsolete, or probably were checking out for some of the competitor parts. And this queried part needs to be correlated with the inventory of parts. So the current to the new kind of a matchmaking exercise, you won't believe, is a function of what they currently use is a set of formally driven Excel sheets. And most of that is not there captured on those Excel sheets. So 20% is which is covered on the Excel sheets, and remaining is all handled by human agents doing a manual correlation exercise. So that's the long and short of the depth of the problem or the problem that we are in. We have a lot of statistics that I'll be sharing as we move forward in this call.
So yeah, I'll just add on to few major pain areas that we could figure out from the customers. These are all the voice of the customers. So number one is the volume of the requests. As you understand, in the ecosystem, there are end customers, there are suppliers, distributors. So the requests can range from own to your competitor parts, millions of parts, and the long wait time for getting the information in that ecosystem, that brings an overall snag and your reputation loss. Customer experience, because customers need real-time recommendations for a part replacement. They cannot stop the business. They cannot stop going. The interaction should be very intelligent. It needs to be configuration led and very convincing, because any delay will hamper the business. The business loss due to delayed process time, long time from lead to quote, as Ritwik has already mentioned, and the loss in the crossover business that our customers saw. And the wait time, the loss due to the wait at various checkpoints, whether it is at a consumer side or at a supplier side, sales, engineering, customer service, etc., etc., it goes on. That could save at least 10 to 15% of the overall operational cost that we could figure out. Yeah.
That is a good summary of all of the complexities that are out there. We're seeing companies that are struggling with, the as designed BOM versus the as built BOM, and then finding the right part that goes with it, the customization that happens. And enterprises are really struggling to respond to that pressure to service those parts, because there's so many different configurations and customizations that are out there. Enterprises are struggling to scale their existing processes based on the new complexities, based on the velocity required. Customer expectations have changed over time. And they literally can't hire enough people. Even if they could afford it, they just can't hire enough people to keep up with it. So there's a lot of money at stake in this. I mean, to your point, $10 million in the first 6 months of it being deployed is a very impressive stat. But why is it so hard? Why is the industry struggling so much to get this right, with so much money on the table and so much focus? Tell me about the complexity and why it's hard to solve for.
Yeah, I think it's and some of these business scenarios or use cases or the problem statements, once it's captured, we normally have this tendency to leverage technology and solve it, rightfully so. But the proverbial usage of technology to bring the right benefits actually is a function of very seamless and fantastic, in my words, beautiful piece of orchestration across the building blocks of those technologies to address the business scenario or the business problem. And that is where we end up into latencies, into the right skill set mix, the costly implementation of the infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So I think the problem is not about identifying the business problem or the business case. Yes, we do at times get to that point, but it's all about realizing and delivering the right solution by pulling in all the technologies. It's not just one key element, which is probably the AI, but bringing all of that together is where the problem lies. I'll give you one piece of statistics. Currently, there are at least 30% of the number of times the end consumers who have reached out to the contact center for a query on a replacement part or a competitor part replacement, that 30% of the time is where the ticket gets registered. Remaining 70% actually falls through the cracks because of the latency, because of the time consideration that a human agent normally takes to do that correlation. Now, to solve that, to ensure or to bring in technology, it's not just bringing in one element of intelligence generation. It's a whole world of orchestration that is needed to handle each of those systemic handoffs, system to agent handoff, agent to system handoff, and all of that put together is which can solve this overall scenario. That's where the problem lies, if I just have to summarize. Yeah.
So if I take a customer, case study, Loren, I know this customer is into manufacturing different types of encoders, resolvers, and sensors. So their annual revenue is something around, they say parts worth 500 million USD. And after implementing this platform, they could see close to 10 million increase in sales in 6 months. Similarly, another customer could see a FTE save of approximately 20,000 man days because they could use this to extract the information of the bill of material, the various parts mentioned in that, with a timely order replacement with the supplier and execution of those, which is an integral part of the BOM. And the
So
end customer could get those parts curated in a very real time, configuration.
those ROI examples are actually pretty incredible. Can you double click on those? Can you take us to that next level of what their experiences were that built up into all of that?
Yeah. So, they could manage the inventory better by reducing the number of manual, the PO lines or the invoice lines by close to 80% with intelligent forecasting. This is the historical data that they have. And that could increase the distributor efficiency by close to 20-25% and the supplier order accuracy by close to 30%, and that could slash the number of variants that is there in the SKUs by close to 40%. So which increases which increased effectively the operational efficiency by close to 25% with a prediction accuracy of more than 95%, which ultimately increased the sales by 10 million USD and the response time in seconds, which was earlier in days and even sometimes in weeks.
That's just incredible, because these are real delivered benefits.
Yes.
But let me take a step back, because I bet that some of our participants today are thinking that everything you just rattled off is too good to be true. Because quite frankly, when you guys first introduced this solution to us, that was my first thought. Can you take a minute and talk us through how it actually works, right? Show the secret sauce of it.
So let me share the screen and try to give a live demonstration and probably explain the product a bit more. I think if somebody can enable my sharing capability, that would be great. Meanwhile, yeah, I think thanks. So I hope you guys are seeing my screen.
Yes.
And what we did was we created a foundation platform with 3 key building blocks. One being the conversational engine, what we call. And as part of this conversational engine, we have some 17 channels of interaction, wherein customers and consumers can interact on either a chat channel or probably email or voice call, whatnot, and each having their own real estates where the conversation is done, the query details come in, and that gets captured for subsequent processing. Like in this case, we'll come to that, how we will be using a little later. We have an insight engine block, which is where we take raw data, unstructured, structured, and applying the generative AI techniques, be it embedding, transformation techniques, RAGs, or probably a combination of multiple other things. We transform all that data into vectors into that store, and also at times use LLM models to pick or select some of the vectors as the case may be in certain scenarios for, again, subsequent processing, maybe for correlation. That's the insight engine. And we leverage some of the partner building blocks, like our key partner in this area is NVIDIA. So we are using the NVIDIA NIM cloud on which we have built layers algorithmic layers to ensure that we have a seamless transformation of data and ingestion of that data into the vector stores. We also have a correlation engine wherein we take the structured, unstructured information from the query, transform that into a vector, which is in that conversational engine, and correlate that with the vector transformed information on the insight engine. And this correlation, again, we use LLM models and surrounding fabrics of a prompt library and other algorithmic orchestrations to ensure that we do the right connection of dots. Now, these are the foundational blocks. Why did we do this? That, in a real implementation, all these things ideally would be done for any service integration activity. One needs to really put across those conversational fabrics, the orchestrational fabrics, to pull in all these building blocks and make sure they work fine. We utilize this underlying engine to ensure that all that parts data, this parts data, is like it comes in structured, unstructured information, and it is something like this, is broken down into a 16-digit alphanumeric code with blocks representing values, structured and unstructured information. We took all of that, transformed that into vectors, and loaded them into the vector store, as part of the insight engine. So it's just a mere configuration that we do to do this kind of a transformation. Then we utilize the interaction engine or conversational engine to take the queries from the end consumers and transform them into vectors. And then the correlation engine to correlate between as a cursor, we pick up one by one the vectors and correlate against the queried vector, giving out the best scored response. Now, this is all we can achieve because of that underlying foundation.
Ritwik, this is great. Can you quickly show the interaction on the front end? Because I want to make sure we've got some time for questions at the end, and I want them to see the magic of the chat, what you can get done.
Exactly. So let me just say, this is basically a simple representation of that conversational engine, and I just say hi there. Please let me know the replacement for part number this, and let's just see what it comes. It actually uses the correlation logic and the algorithms of that correlation engine and fetches back all this response. It is coming leveraging the LLM, and all these details come back the way you are seeing here. The new part closely matches the old part with similar pressure range, process connections, mounting, and case fill. So if you really see the parts data sheet, all of this information is packed in over there. I just want to give you a quick view to the part detail, and may make a quick query, with our insight engine, so that the insight engine fetches back a kind of a JSON representation of what can be the possible breakup of this kind of a data. And this data, again, the input part detailed with vector representation, obviously in a JSON format, and how the suggested part also comes out. So this is the long and short of the background and the entire story, Loren, to what I said and showed out here.
That's great. So I'm looking at this. I'm seeing code. I'm seeing all these things. It looks like it would take years to get that put together. Talk me through what it actually takes, because this is also surprising.
And you were kind of not years, but we did spend a long time to proactively develop those foundational engines, which we purposefully don't charge the customer. We charge the outcome of it. So we leverage that whole foundation to ensure that the customer's business use case is very, very rapidly developed and with an accelerated, in an accelerated mode. We see a pilot development of around three weeks to a month, and actually a production grade rollout from there for a subsequent one more month. So within a 7 weeks to a 8 weeks kind of a process. We roll out a production grade solution on top of this platform with a pure pay-per-use kind, in a pay-per-use kind of a model where we give models as a service. So that's our total proposition and the rapidity with which we come out.
That's incredible. 7 weeks to 8 weeks to be up on and getting this type of value out of it. Can you talk to everyone who's listening about the next steps they can take if they're interested in pursuing this with you?
Oh yeah, sure. You know, we have a complete GTM process. Our marketing team, Palak, who is here, you know, please do reach out to Palak with your scenarios, problem statements. We provide a free of cost initial due diligence exercise wherein we get into the details and we create the business plan the way we have done it here and showed here. And then subsequent to that, we follow through with a pilot and a production grade rollout. Palak's email IDs will be shared, you know, as part of this conversation, but that's the point to reach out to.
That's great. So there's clearly so much more we could go into. There's so much that's been done to develop this out. It's just really an exciting, you know, foray into actual revenue generating uses of Gen AI in an area that has been so challenging for so many enterprises. So with that, I will turn us back over to Palak. Thanks for walking through this with me, guys.
Likewise.
Absolutely, and thank you everyone, you know, for your time today on the call. This was actually, you know, very impressive of what Gen AI can do, right? And we have very limited, you know, knowledge about certain things can be automated, but this is fantastic, and it's just not, you know, we're focusing on the part of just the automation, but how that results into the revenue, right? So this is fantastic. Again, I want to thank you all. I have posted my email address, you know, for any additional questions that you have, or, you know, as Ritwik mentioned, with, you know, you have, you know, a scenario that you wanted to work, you want us to work with, definitely reach out to me. And thank you again, and have a good one.